Hello, my name is Justin Decloux. I'm here today with
Will Sloan.
and you're listening to the Important Cinema Club. And today, is there a more important subject than that of Canada's own Howie Mandel?
I'm laughing already.
Yep.
So first of all, Howie Mandel, if you are listening, stop listening now.
Nothing will make you happy about what we're about to say.
Okay, and now let's continue. Shame on us for doing this topic.
No, I love this. I had a blast watching these movies. I was like a scientist, like just looking into something that was so popular during its time.
So we are,
we missed it.
Yeah.
We missed it too.
We are a movie podcast. Why are we talking about Howie Mandel, whose filmography is, shall we say, a little skimpy?
Yes, it is.
I think it's because of that.
Yeah.
It's because of the absence.
I think that always fascinates us about comedians that didn't have movie careers, but people know them and they were popular. And I think what is especially fascinating about Howie Mandel is that he was so popular in the 80s. He is a household name now. He is not known for his comedy, though.
Yeah.
He is a celebrity figure now, and his comedy has basically been forgotten unless you were there.
Name a Howie Mandel joke.
Well,
Or
I can name one.
It's the rubber glove.
It's the rubber glove. And a lot of people know that because it showed up in a gag in Family Guy.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it for the first time because I had not seen any of that before.
So the reason I wanted to do this topic is I fell down a little bit of a Howie Mandel rabbit hole when I saw an episode of his podcast on YouTube where he interviewed Tim Heidecker. And you see that, and it's like Howie Mandel and Tim Heidecker. Tim Heidecker, who is a more niche taste, a sort of art-tinged comedian.
His fans are obsessive fans.
That's right. You know, Tim and Eric, a very innovative comedian, a very, very cutting edge, a more highbrow might be the wrong word, but higher brow than Howie Mandel.
Yes, we'll get into this why this is.
And Howie Mandel, as he himself has said, I've seen interviews with Howie Mandel where you get to see the tears of the clown, where you say, David Letterman made fun of me all the time. I was Carrot Top before Carrot Top. You know, the hackiest of hacks. And today...
making millions of dollars, though.
And today, you know, I think people mostly know him for Deal or No Deal or America's Got Talent, which are two very, very popular shows. America's Got Talent might be the most popular show on and kind of hack, right?
Now, I think that one of the successful elements of Howie Mandel's career is that the audience that he formed in the 80s, while they did not follow his comedy career, did follow him as a figure, and that there is something, just comfortable with Howie Mandel on screen.
And when I was seeing Howie interview Tim Heidecker, it's like, which I highly recommend you guys watch this. It's fascinating.
What really clicked into place and made me fascinated is he wishes he was Tim Heidecker.
He almost says it.
Yeah.
He's talking about how he wants to collaborate with them,
Yeah.
and there's also an edge of insecurity of like, oh, you probably don't like me very much, but I like you.
Yeah. What really clicked it into place again was that Chop and Steal documentary where Howie Mandel is like, I love these guys. I love what they're doing.
And crucially, he says, I'd like to work with them.
Yes. That's what made me go but he doesn't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
How would he work with them?
Of course, we know Howie Mandel today as just the friendly presenter on TV.
Yes. Bald,
the guy,
germaphobe.
Yeah, the guy judging singers and plate spinners.
Have you ever watched America's Got Talent? I don't think I've ever seen an episode with him on it.
I mean, I've seen clips.
Does he have a personality?
I don't think so, really. For this episode, I watched a little bit of Deal or No Deal, and it's like,
I never watched an episode of Deal.
It could be anyone.
And what's funny about Deal or No Deal is he didn't even host that show. He presented the bumpers throwing to the show.
And that show, I mean...
Huge hit,
and was a real comeback for him.
I don't even know. I've never watched Deal or No Deal. I don't even know how it worked. They pick briefcases or...
There are briefcases. I know that.
I was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fan.
Oh,
that show I watched religiously.
We all were. Our younger listeners may not understand.
All right, coming up, an episode on Regis Philbin.
Regis Philbin in the movies. He was in Everything You Ever Want to Know About Sex.
Oh, was he?
So that's one movie.
Okay, wow. And Howie Mandel, this is something that is just, I feel, in the back of my mind. It's not something I thought about when I wanted to do an episode with him. I would watch a shtick and him in live action every day as a child.
Because of Bobby's World.
Because of Bobby's World, a TV show that was all about him, that he did the voice of the little kid, and would show up in the bumpers of the show in live action to interact with Bobby.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I watched this, but I didn't know who he was.
And were you a fan of Bobby's World? It was on.
You know what? I would sit and watch it. So like if it was on, I'd be happy to watch it. But I don't think I was ever a huge fan. I do remember one joke in it, and it's the hackiest joke, but as a kid, it filled me with so much joy, is they're moving, and they pull out of the driveway, and Bobby goes, "Are we there yet?" And his dad goes, "Yes, we are." And they just turn into another driveway.
Oh, I remember that joke too.
Yeah, so there you go.
It was because on that episode, they're
like moving away.
They moved away.
And it's like a big building up, and then they move like literally down the street.
Wow, I can't believe it. I remember that too. That's amazing.
And I remember, because he had a wacky uncle.
Uncle Ted, yeah.
That there was a joke about him having his underwear on backwards.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember that. That's all I remember. In Bobby's world, did he like fight velociraptors? Because the gimmick was his imagination would come to life.
Oh, he was kind of like Calvin.
Yeah.
But nicer.
Yeah. The Canadian version. And also lower rung.
So anyway, after seeing him interview Tim Heidecker, and I've seen other clips too, he's constantly having like comedians on the show.
All right. Let's talk about the other podcast you want to mention with Howie Mandel.
So he had, earlier this year, he had Bill Burr on. And
on his podcast.
On Howie's podcast. And apparently, you know, there was a rumor going around, perpetuated by Billy Corgan, the musician, that they might be half brothers. So Howie Mandel, when he has Bill Burr as a guest, he brings in Billy Corgan as a surprise guest, and Bill Burr gets pissed.
Yes.
He gets so angry. He's like, why would you spring this on me? I've spent my life running away from my family. I don't want to confront any of this. Like, they might be half brothers. It's unconfirmed. Burr gets so angry. And the episode, which also, you guys should watch this, because Bill Burr gets very funny. And at one point he says...
he just starts tearing into
Howie. At one point he says something like, "Look, you've always been a bit of a lounge act," which I thought was great. And then I saw another clip of Bill Burr after, where an interviewer asked him about it, and he was like, "Listen, Howie's a Hollywood whore, but you can't really hate him because he's Howie."
Yeah. So you can't hate him because he's Howie because you feel bad for him?
I think that's ambiguous.
Or he's an affable figure.
So I find that if you watch the Burr episode and you watch the Heidecker episode, I think you're seeing two different facets of Howie Mandel that are fascinating. You're seeing the part of him that wants to be a great comedian, that wants to be admired by Tim Heidecker, and then you're seeing the shameless part of him.
Now, him admiring Tim Heidecker, though, does not come out of nowhere, especially when we talk about his first comedy special.
Right. And we are going to get to movies soon.
We are going to get to movies. But I think the comedy special is important in just like tying down what was popular about him and what was his just kind of like general air that you wouldn't, even the movies we watched didn't really tap into it except for one, which was the last one that we'll talk about.
So yeah, Howie Mandel, North American WATUSI tour from 1986. You probably watched more of his stand-up than I did.
I watched a few clips here or there. Like Andrew Dice Clay, other than that one, it seems the internet has been just bleached of the rest of his stand-up.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about an interview I read with Andrew Dice Clay from Penthouse magazine in 1991. And at height of his fame, the magazine asked him about his jokes, and he said something like, words to the effect of, "I don't really care that much about jokes. I feel like a funny person can go on stage and just be funny. Like Jerry Lewis in his stand-up doesn't have funny jokes. He's just funny. And that's what I want to be." Now, I was thinking about that quote when I saw this Howie Mandel special, because Howie's got no jokes.
Yeah. Now,
really, he's got no jokes.
Well, he's got jokes. He's got jokes.
He's got crowd work.
The thing about Howie Mandel is that, like, wonder what his stand-up would be. Like, if you, dear listener, have never seen a clip of it, like, what do you think it is at the height of his fame?
I wouldn't have been able to answer that question before you asked.
And if you said how he saw Bobcat Goldthwait on the David Letterman show and went, "Oh, I can do that, but make it more approachable." So, like, Bobcat, his comedy, if you watch his first appearance on David Letterman, it is a definition of anti-comedy.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Bobcat kind of got tarred with being a hack because I guess he was in Police Academy and stuff like that.
I mean, I would take Police Academy in a second.
Sure. Yeah. Who wouldn't?
You look at that David Letterman appearance, and the whole joke is he's bad at what he's doing.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a little bit of Pee Wee Herman, a little bit of Andy Kaufman. It's very conceptual, but like he creates a genuinely strange and I think internally coherent character.
And it builds.
Yeah.
And it's funnier as it goes along.
That's
but
right.
At first you may be like, "I don't know what this is." And then it goes. So this Howie Mandel special, a roaring crowd too. People like love him.
So the idea of Howie Mandel as a stand-up at this time is, what if a man was funny?
Yes.
And
wacky.
Wacky.
Not funny. What if he was wacky? So this.
Well, I think he mixes up those two things, doesn't he?
This special is named after, I don't know which came first, but he had a novelty song which is at the end of the tape of the special. It's like something WATUSI, and it's just him showing random images of like, there's playing cards in someone's pants, etc., etc.
Yeah,
that's what the song is.
Yeah, he's a classic like Hawaiian shirt kind of guy.
Yes.
You know?
What is the like internet terminology for it, which is like epic bacon randomness?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Or that Onion article, like, I'm completely outrageous in socially acceptable circumstances.
Mm-hmm. So
imagine if Weird Al Yankovic wasn't a singer.
Yes. Whoa. How dare you?
But you know what? Imagine if Weird Al Yankovic was just the guy you see in pictures.
But the thing is, Weird Al Yankovic is funny when he does bits, and
but
he's not singing.
that's what I mean. It's like, just imagine Weird Al without any of his material.
So Howie Mandel comes out on stage, and right away he's screaming. He's like, ah, ah, and he's like hitting his head.
Yeah.
And this is something that, so I watched a film called The Funny Farm, a Canadian-made production about stand-ups in LA. I'm putting air quotes. And Howie Mandel in that film is who he is in the late 80s here, where he's like very wacky. He does his baby voice, which he would go on to do on Bobby's World. And that he has that big handbag.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, nothing can define
a bag shaped like a hand.
That's it. And that's like his wacky prop. So he's been like massaging this idea forever.
Guys, you should look up the clip of Martin Short imitating Howie Mandel.
But here's the thing about that imitation. It's just Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
Like there's no spin on it, right?
Yeah.
It's just what he does.
So in this special, he comes out on stage and he just kind of, he reminded me a little bit of Jim Carrey's stand-up, if you've ever seen that.
No, I haven't.
Well, Jim Carrey, when he was a stand-up, he had the idea of, I'm going to go out without material and I'm just going to see what happens. I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to convulse my body. I'm going to do crazy, wacky things.
What's funny about Jim Carrey, though, versus Howie Mandel?
So two things. First of all, Jim Carrey has certain natural gifts. His face is incredible.
Yes. It's like an impossible thing, a cartoon brought to life.
And he manipulates it brilliantly. But second, Jim Carrey really does go all out. He is not at all afraid to risk embarrassment.
Do you think Howie is afraid of that here? Because he's screaming, he's hitting himself in the head, he's doing a baby voice.
Well, maybe it's the problem is imagination. Because I don't really see him. I don't know.
Like the thing about Jim Carrey is, like he does his imitations. That's what he used to do early on in his career, like of like Clint Eastwood and stuff. The actual kind of like imitations are not that funny, but the face he's making is funny when he's doing that voice.
Yeah,
and I think that's what locks it into place.
But if I can skip ahead just very briefly, in the movie Walk Like a Man,
yes,
the whole premise of he's like raised by wolves, so he thinks he's a dog. Imagine Jim Carrey in that movie.
Hilarious.
It would have been hilarious. In this one, it's just a guy on all fours.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's go back to this comedy special because he gets on stage, he screams, he yells at the audience. He does some like basest of base jokes, just like set up, punchline, set up, punchline, set up, punchline. But then the bulk of his special, which very much surprised me, is him terrorizing the audience. Now, I did smile a few times at what he did to the audience. So this is the argument people would make that Howie is funny, is that he's pretty fast on his feet dealing with the audience and basically torturing them in a way where he's like, what do you do? Oh, you work in an office? Do you have sex with the people in the office? Are you a whore? Like, that's basically a lot of his bits.
Well, there's one point in the Heidecker interview where like Heidecker can tell that he's fishing for compliments. Like at one point, Howie Mandel says something like, I don't know if it means anything coming from me, but I'm a huge fan. And Heidecker goes, well, it means a lot. Like, I really respect your career. And I respect your career. It's a great compliment.
That's a burn.
But he also says like, at some point he says something like, the energy of your early specials was incredible.
Yeah.
And I do think you have to give Howie that.
Yes.
His energy is incredible.
The camera's handheld because it can't really follow what he's doing. And he's running in and out of the crowd. But like the comedy is him abusing the like people in the audience, like yelling at them to go get him a beer, moving their chair.
So I guess to give the devil his due, what's interesting about this is Howie, I think, has a certain inherent likability.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I mean, I don't want to go overboard here. But
within the context of the special.
Well, also
people like him that are there.
But also, like, even now, like, what do you attribute his durability to?
Likability. Yes.
It has to be. People just feel comfortable with him as a presence. And so maybe maybe for the people who like this special, of which there are none still alive. But
hey, some people commented on the tweet I did that went viral of just a clip from the special. And they were like, you had to be there. You know who loved this? Children.
Yeah.
Because I think that just him doing all this stuff, wacky, an adult doing it, there is an attraction there. And I think that in the 80s as well, this is a comedian who is kind of like breaking the like expected rules without going too far.
That's right.
Now, he does swear in this comedy special, and he is blue at times. So he's not a clean comedian in the way that he's kind of rebranded.
But he's blue in a way that like
is approachable.
Like with Robin Williams, as well, is kind of like this.
What is the difference between Robin Williams and Howie Mandel in stand-up?
Well, I think Robin's better.
Yes, I would agree with you 100%.
I mean, I think...
But they're both like very energetic performers. And like Robin, I think he said that he would wing it a lot of times when he would go out on stage as well.
Yeah.
He had certain jokes that he set up.
You know, both these guys are given instruments, which are their bodies and their faces. Yeah. And I
don't think of Howie as a very facial comedian, though.
God, it's an interesting question because like Robin Williams, I find inherently funny.
Now, what's interesting about Howie Mandel, if you showed somebody this special and you said, this guy is like satirizing these kind of comedians, and this is a big leap, I think people would enjoy it more.
As anti-comedy.
Anti-comedy, yes. Yeah. And, you know, Howie loving Tim Heidecker, is there a strain that he's doing this? Now, let me go to, we didn't watch all of it, we watched clips because it is not online, but the Howie in Maui special.
Oh my God.
And like, he is torturing the audience in this thing. So like, is that like going down that path?
Well, I do think the kinship that he feels with Tim Heidecker is he thinks he's breaking the form in the way that Heidecker is. He thinks he's like challenging the limits of comedy. He thinks he's doing something innovative and weird.
But I would say the difference between Heidecker and Howie is how he wants to be liked.
Yes.
That he wants to be liked by the audience and he doesn't want them leaving feeling bad.
And like, what's the point of all this?
Yes.
Like it's empty.
Yeah. It's like the embarrassment, the wackiness of what's happening.
You've given up on punchlines. You've given up on, you know, all the structural niceties of the comedy. And so then what are you giving me in place of that?
There is something kind of like, electric with him interacting with the audience, like moving. You can tell this is not planned bits, but the second he gets back on stage and he does like the lamest jokes, like he does his baby voice, he puts a glove on his head. I always thought it was a condom for some reason.
I thought that too. Yeah.
It's not, it's a glove.
Maybe in other,
Can you imagine?
Is this Mandela syndrome that we both thought it was a condom?
Did we watch an episode of like Maury Povich or whatever where the guy puts a condom on his head and blows it up?
Maybe he did. Maybe in the clubs he used a condom.
But like, can you imagine listening to this as a comedy album? It would be unbearable. Just his voice.
It wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't make, because you need to see that like manic energy of him going, look, I see this comedy special and I do not question myself of like, how was this popular? I understand why this was popular. Like watching it, this energy, this presence, like you said, that undeniable likability of the Howie Mandel himself kept him going.
So let's talk about the movies. He had a brief run. Like any comedian who's this popular, he was given a couple of movies to prove himself.
Now, what's weird about it is that right away they didn't go, let's play to your strengths. You're a wacky guy. Let's give you a wacky movie. Now, like the movie, what is it? A Fine Mess?
Well, they gave him one of the great comedy directors. Allegedly.
Yeah, at the greatest comedy directors. Did you see the movies he like directed before this? I think S.O.B. was before.
Well, honestly, like in the early 80s.
10.
We're talking about Blake Edwards, folks. He had 10. He had Victor Victoria.
A director, I've been like, hey, Will, you want to do Blake Edwards? And you went, no.
You know, all the Pink Panther movies were obviously huge. Yeah. Well, not all of them.
God.
Some of the later ones.
Anybody me and Will's age, if you were like a big movie fan, you went through that phase where you got the big, soft Pink Panther DVD box set.
That's right.
And you quickly realized that most of these are very bad.
I mean, okay, people might write in angry. I would say the best one is Pink Panther Strikes Again.
I really like A Shot in the Dark, which is not really an efficient...
Do you?
Yeah. Have I watched it since I was a child? No.
Blake Edwards episode coming soon.
All right, coming soon.
So I will say, if I can get the Blake Edwards of this out of the way first, I, as somebody, you know, attuned to directorial style, as an auteurist, I found things of interest here. For example, the whole movie is filmed in master shots.
Yes.
It's almost like a Ho Xiao Shen film. It's like they're long, like 4-minute takes with a bunch of characters in them, and Blake Edwards is not directing your eye, and it's a widescreen frame.
I mean, he's always been like that. He's very rarely been a kind of, all right, I need to put my stamp on this material.
Well, but this is his stamp. It's like these long master shots with in a widescreen frame with a lot of activity.
I set up some unfair context around the film. I read the first line of someone's Letterboxd review where Blake Edwards at some point said that he was inspired by Laurel and Hardy's The Music Box.
So this is what he originally wanted to do.
Okay. Other than there being a literal music box in the film, there is nothing like that short.
Right. So he wanted to do...
I'm like, when are we getting to the music box sequence?
So yeah, there's a scene 2/3 of the way in when Howie Mandel and Ted Danson, who are the stars of the film...
we need to get back
into
this.
We're going to get back into it. But they bring a piano into a mansion. And I'm
like
I'm watching this, and they're next to a staircase.
So what is the music box? One of the greatest comedy shorts of all time.
It's Laurel and Hardy are at the bottom of a huge staircase. Yeah. They have to carry a piano up the staircase.
Yes, that's it.
And you can imagine what happens.
So it's a brilliant kind of like setup, later used for, the People's Music Box in the Three Stooges short.
An Ache in Every Steak.
Yep, classic. Where they're trying to get ice up a hill.
So 2/3 of the way in, and the movie's called A Fine Mess. So you think it's going to have a lot of Laurel and Hardy shtick.
Okay, so this is what I was hoping for.
So they bring the piano
and then they just bring it up.
Nothing happens with the piano.
Nothing happens with the piano. I couldn't believe it.
I know. It's like he was taunting us.
Could you imagine if there was like, it started the movie and they were like, oh, we need to bring it up the hill. Now, for like the first half hour, I was like, oh, is this what they mean by it's going to be a music box style film? So the film stars Ted Danson as a womanizer would-be actor and Howie Mandel, who works at a, where they're all on roller skates.
It's like a
restaurant.
1950 style burger restaurant where he's on roller skates.
I would say the first 20 minutes got me excited because it's very wacky. There's a chase. When we go see Howie Mandel at work, there's a dance number that happens.
Well, listen, I was first immediately disoriented by Blake Edwards' visual style because it's so unlike most comedies of this time.
Yeah.
Most comedies are very pedestrian. It's like shot, reverse shot. Yeah. He doesn't give you any of that. So I was disoriented, but I was intrigued.
So I was like, oh, are we going to get a lot of throwback slapstick sequences? Because that's right up my alley.
And also, that's what the movie's kind of promising.
That's what it's promising.
It's got the Laurel and Hardy title. If you guys have seen the poster for this movie.
The poster of this movie rules.
Because it says Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, peanut butter and jelly. It's got all these things.
And it's just like Howie Mandel and Ted Danson back to back.
And then it says Danson and Mandel. Danson and Mandel, your new comedy team. And to come out with that kind of confidence is like Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Danson and Mandel. It's like, okay, you better have the goods.
Ted Danson at this point, height of his fame on Cheers. Howie Mandel, probably height of his comedy career as well.
Yeah.
And this movie gives Howie Mandel nothing to do.
Okay, yeah, this movie, which is bad, by the way.
Yes. So, like, I was even a little excited where, like, so the plot of this movie is nothing. Like, there's not even any, like, comedic
It's
game.
like they're two friends and there's a fixed racehorse.
Ted Danson learns about a fixed racehorse. And it's very confusing is that, like, then, like, the guys that fixed it learned that he learned. So for the rest of the movie, they're trying to stop him.
They're being chased by gangsters. And these gangsters are, like, straight out of a Three Stooges movie.
So I thought that the whole movie would be set at the racetrack and would be, like, them trying to set the bet, them trying to see if he wins, them trying to... Because that's how, like, a big set piece happens, where it's like Ted Danson goes, Howie Mandel, distract them, act like a dog, giving them a preview of the further movie that's going to come up soon.
Okay, so here's what Wikipedia says. Wikipedia says the film was intended as a remake of Laurel and Hardy's classic short, The Music Box, was to be semi-improvised in the same style as Blake Edwards' earlier comedy, The Party, but studio interference, poor reviews, and subsequent re-editing resulted in the film becoming a fully scripted chase comedy with very few of the original ideas intact. And Blake Edwards himself disowned this movie and told people not to see it.
Yes.
So the movie, which comes packaged in its marketing as Danson and Mandel, they're your new Abbott and Costello, it never creates, like, them as a team.
Never.
Really.
A little bit. When they go and try to place the bet, they're together. When they buy the music box, they're together.
For too much of the movie, they're apart, which is incredible.
This movie is constantly like, the music box. It's a real, like, when are we getting to the music box factory?
The two stars, they're constantly apart, and then when they're together, it's like, okay, which is the
straight man and which is the wacky
which is
guy?
The funny one.
Because, like, Howie Mandel is not that wacky in this film.
No.
He's wackier than Danson.
Well, Ted Danson is like, he's the Lothario, he's the womanizer, but I don't know how he fucks too. I mean,
he does.
So it's kind of like Wild Wild West, where it's like, wait, which one's supposed to be the funny one?
That's what it feels like. It's even more aimless in Wild Wild West.
And actually, those two actually felt like a duo, whereas these two...
No. I looked at my watch an hour in, I'm like, what is this movie about?
Like, totally. No, it's incredible.
Like, and it's not like a fine mess. You would think, oh, there are so many complications that will arise. Things will lock together. Not really. Like, they're just going on dates.
So stylistically, it's insane. It feels almost at times like a Robert Altman movie, where it's like
just like
meandering.
Yep.
There's no like consistency to the style of comedy they're doing. So there were times when it's like, you know, a lot of cop cars chasing each other, you know, Cannonball Run style stuff.
Not enough.
But then there are times where it's just like, just sort of like a romantic comedy almost. Then there are other times when it's a farce. The last act, which is probably the best, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Where it's like, oh no, Ted Danson is actually in the room of the wife of the gangster that's trying to kill him, but he didn't know. That's good
So
stuff.
there's some door slamming stuff with Paul Sorvino.
Way too late.
And it's not that great.
I mean, I like Paul Sorvino.
I like Paul Sorvino too.
Yeah, it's funny.
I've lost
what about
track
Richard
of what
Mulligan?
I was saying.
Lost in this film.
This is it. There's one like Stephen Chow style gag.
Yes.
One bit where he gets like a steroid injected.
Richard Mulligan, no, he gets like not even a steroid.
What
it's
is
like
it?
Something that has to go up his ass.
Yeah.
And then he gets super fast, but nothing is done with it.
He runs like the Flash.
That's it. But he just runs. There's no joke beyond that.
Yeah.
He's just fast. Which I think defines the whole movie. Well, you sent me a podcast episode where they kind of explain why the movie is the way that it is.
Well, this was Howie Mandel's first big movie. And if he was working with Blake Edwards. Who wouldn't be excited? And so Blake Edwards would be in his trailer, and then he would come on the set and he would set up the shot, which, remember, the movie is all masters. And he would light it, and then he would say, okay, what do you guys want to do? Action. And then he'd go back to his trailer. According to Howie and Ted Danson, they didn't interact with Blake Edwards that much. His heart wasn't really in it.
No, he said, I think that Blake Edwards was depressed during that period.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and you'd never know it.
Yeah, I'd be depressed watching this movie too. Fine Mess comes out. No one really likes it. If you're a Howie Mandel fan, this is not giving you what you want.
I would recommend this movie only to kind of incurable Blake Edwards scholars.
I would not recommend this film to anyone. I would say, have you watched all the other Blake Edwards films? Then get to the Fine Mess.
There's a reason that even like fans of Blake Edwards don't talk about this one.
So Walk Like a Man.
Even worse.
I had never heard of this movie, but like I look at it and I go, yes, that is the Howie Mandel movie I would expect for him to star in.
Yeah, so this comes out 1987, the year after. And who directed it?
Okay, we were just talking about Blake Edwards. We've talked about hacks a lot in the past. This is a hack.
Melvin Frank, born in 1913. Okay,
this is important.
This came out the year before he died, so he was very old. His big movie is The Court Jester with Danny Kaye.
Do you like that movie? Have you seen it?
I've never seen it.
Okay,
I don't know anything about Danny Kaye really.
And the film that he had directed before this one was almost 10 years before. Was a film called Lost and Found, which starred George Segal.
And all you need to know about Walk Like a Man is the poster features Howie Mandel. He's in a tuxedo. He's crouched on the ground like a dog, and he's got a leash around him being held by Christopher Lloyd. So he thinks he's a dog, folks. It's a movie about a man who was raised in the wilderness by wolves.
I have a logical fallacy right from the get-go. Howie Mandel's character is abandoned accidentally as a kid when they're out in the wild. He is way too old to be raised by wolves at that point. I think he's like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Like,
years later,
yes,
it's like there's a big inheritance, and his older brother, played by Christopher Lloyd,
this is the kind of movie it is, right? If like on the poster, it's Mandel and Lloyd, which is like, you know what movie you're getting. I love Christopher Lloyd. He rules.
But you've seen all the good ones.
Yes, I've seen
There are no other undiscovered ones there.
Have I watched the comedy he made where it's him on the poster with Christopher Lambert and it's directed by the guy who made Loaded Weapon 1? Yes, I have. Is it good? No, which is why you probably haven't heard of it.
But yeah, Christopher Lloyd, he's set to get a huge inheritance as long as his younger brother doesn't show up before his 30th birthday. Here comes Howie Mandel, who thinks he's a goddamn dog. He's running around like a dog. He's got a big beard. He's Casper Hauser, folks.
This is a movie that is so bored with itself that I almost missed that they caught Howie Mandel. I was like, wait, they already found him. I guess it wasn't very dramatic, was it?
I really thought this movie was actually going to be better somehow.
Why? You know what?
I thought
the eternal optimist.
I thought there'd be one good set piece.
So what's wild about this movie is it takes the basic premise and gives it to you in the most meat and potatoes way possible.
There's no gags. Name a joke from this movie.
It's just he acts like a dog.
Yeah. There's so much you could do with that.
The biggest issue with the film is anyone could have played this role.
Yes.
It does not have to be Howie Mandel. He is not bringing anything to it that if me or you played the dog man and did stuff that was asked for us, that would be different.
Which is such a shame because, like,
I think I would do better.
Yeah.
If I was a dog man.
So again, imagine Jim Carrey in this role.
Oh, I'm laughing already.
And imagine, I don't know, a director who like thought about, good God, think of the possible chaos that could happen.
Yes.
Think of the dog shitting in public. think of like if somebody whistles like too loudly and like there's dog pandemonium. Think about that.
There is some kind of setups at times like, oh, is he going to act like a dog at a dinner? But then the actual goal of that dinner is vague because Christopher Lloyd is trying to get him to act like a normal man, but at the same time, he also wants to make him look mad.
So at that dinner, conceptually it makes no sense. But then also at the dinner, the gags are like Howie is drinking his wine like a dog at the water bowl.
Yes.
Who cares? Like, imagine it's a swanky dinner.
Yeah.
It should be pandemonium.
It should be pandemonium, yes. I absolutely agree with you. It also, like, this is a very ill man. He should be getting help. He should not be living with Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
And it ends at the big trial.
Oh, okay, well, this is funny. The fact that he's like, me, man, dog, me, love, family.
I mean, I hate the pathos. Just fucking kill me.
Well, like, this feels like a TV movie. It's shot like a TV movie.
Yeah, and it's a waste of Howie Mandel's meager talents, I think.
Oh, how dare you.
Again, what's Howie Mandel good?
Energetic.
Energetic.
I don't even think he's that energetic in this movie.
I know, it's a shame.
Like, this feels like a job that was offered to him, and he's like, I got nothing else. Like, I'll take it. Like, you look at his filmography, and it's like a steady slide. Could Howie Mandel have had a successful movie vehicle?
Maybe. I mean, he's at the best of times, he's likable.
Now imagine Howie Mandel, Pet Detective.
Wouldn't have been as good.
But would it have been not as good? Would have people liked it? This is the question.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that Howie Mandel doing Ace Ventura would have been a better showcase for him.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Because it would have allowed him to just...
Was Howie Mandel before his time?
No.
In that
No.
The 90s was a wacky man decade.
Yeah, maybe.
The 80s are not the wacky man decade. The 80s are Eddie Murphy. They are Chevy Chase. They are, who else?
Smug bastards who fuck.
Smug bastards who fuck. Howie Mandel was not a smug bastard who fucked, even though A Fine Mess tried to make him into that, and he bounced off of it.
You're right. The example of Jim Carrey, getting back to the sort of Jerry Lewis roots of just like a crazy man who does crazy faces, you know, that would have been the best hope for Howie.
Yeah.
Now, he did get something in the ballpark of that with 1989's Little Monsters.
Yes. A film that, when we talk about it, maybe it'll make you think of another movie, specifically Howie's performance in it. He's doing Beetlejuice, ladies and gentlemen.
He's doing Beetlejuice, which I checked the dates. Beetlejuice came out a year and a half before this.
Okay, so undeniable.
And he is just doing Beetlejuice.
He's just doing Beetlejuice. Now, I saw this movie a lot as a kid. I watched it 2 years ago when it was put out on Vestron Blu-ray. I actually liked it.
Okay.
And I will say, I liked it because Howie Mandel's Beetlejuice sucks. He is lame and he is pathetic, and I think the movie kind of knows that. As a kid,
I don't know.
As a kid, I never liked Howie Mandel's monster.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. I felt like he felt like a sad clown to me.
What's the difference between this guy what's his character's name? Melvin?
Oh yeah, Melvin the Monster.
Who
something
cares?
Like that, yeah.
Let's say he's Melvin the Monster. What's the difference between him and Beetlejuice?
There's more desperation to Melvin. All the jokes that he makes, they're very the jokes of a dad who wants to be funny but is embarrassed.
Yeah.
There is no embarrassment in Michael Keaton's performance as Beetlejuice.
There's also like a little more texture to Michael Keaton in Beetlejuice. There's like that bit where he monologues where he's like, oh, well, I went to Juilliard, you know, that famous bit.
But like the thing about Little Monsters, Howie Mandel's performance in it, is that like it fits the tone of the rest of the film, which is kind of miserable, where it's like Fred Savage, his parents are getting a divorce.
His dad played by Daniel Stern.
Yes. Was Fred Savage in the Wonder Years?
That's right.
So, and Daniel Stern did the voiceover in the Wonder Years.
Whoa. Sorry, you just blew my mind.
And Fred Savage's brother, real life brother, is his little brother in this movie.
Yeah, so it's a classic like kind of time bandits-y story of there are monsters in the closet.
Yeah.
And he's able to like capture a monster in real life, and it's Howie Mandel as Melvin or whatever.
Yes, who's very wacky. He does faces. He does Beetlejuice shtick.
And Melvin takes him to the underworld, which is kind of like a Clive Barker Hellraiser, or really more like a Gregory Dark porno.
Well, Nightbreed is what you're thinking of.
I'm thinking of Devil and Miss Jones 3.
So, like, the thing about the movie that... So I remember this film when I was a kid, mostly about the stuff that like bothered me, like the fact that like they pee in someone's apple juice.
Okay, so I never saw this movie as a kid because I didn't like how Howie looked on the box.
He's scary.
I didn't like the monster.
Well, I don't like any of the monsters in this, especially as a kid. They're all very frighteningly designed.
So the thing that's interesting about this movie is that the underworld, and this is a low budget movie. It's like $5 million or something less.
Wait, Howie Mandel in a $5 million movie?
I guess the Blake Edwards movie didn't rocket him to stardom, but it's low budget. So the underworld has a kind of handcrafted, almost Albert Punish quality.
I would agree with you.
And the makeup is very like
elaborate,
tactile, but really elaborate, really grotesque.
But this is the thing, is that like it kind of made me uncomfortable as a kid, especially where the movie goes, which is maybe these guys are fun at first, the idea of hanging out with monsters, but the end lesson of the whole film is like, if you hang out with these disgusting freaks, you will become one as well. And this was a very visceral reaction I had to it as a kid of Fred Savage turning into a monster because he's spending too much time in Monsterland.
There's also some scary stuff, like some of the makeup's scary.
There's a guy who wears somebody else's skin. Like, that's a kid's movie?
And the first time we see Howie as this monster, he does some almost Boxer's Omen kind of gore effects.
Well, one of the villains, when they get killed by shining a light on them, he literally melts, and you see his face like, oh. So that's what I like as an adult watching this this kids movie that I saw, picking it up off the 99-cent wall, having not seen Beetlejuice, just liking monsters, and watching this and being like, ugh. Ew.
So Howie's
performance.
Howie's performance is, I mean, it's energetic.
It's energetic. It's sad. It's not funny.
It's one note.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think that may be what damned him. Is this the last time he was this Howie in the movies?
I think so.
Like, very energetic. Like, this is the first movie you feel like he should have gotten in his career, where he gets to, he does the really energetic stuff and no one can see me moving.
What a great Beetlejuice impression. This shouldn't have been his first movie because people would have just said, why are you doing Beetlejuice?
No, I mean, if he had somehow magically gotten this movie before Beetlejuice came out.
Yeah, maybe.
And the thing about Howie, though, if you look at his career, his movies that he's in, bad. I don't think he's ever been in any interesting movie, especially in a major role since then.
No.
But everything else, he cannot stop getting shows. He had a huge, sketch variety show called Howie in 1992.
He had a late night talk show, you said?
Yeah, he had a late night talk show as well. Is this an example? Now, I'm curious to know, are these Canadian productions? Is this classic we're in Canada, we have money to give, we need to fill that Canadian content. Who is popular that people in America would know? Howie Mandel.
I mean, that's why we saw him. We saw him live at the Canadian Screen Awards.
Oh, let's talk about this.
Okay, so
we've come face to face. You know how people say, Jerry Lewis, you needed to see him on stage to get that real energy. We saw Howie Mandel in that environment.
And that was great because the year before, the Canadian Screen Awards is our Oscars.
Yes.
And
that comes with all the negative baggage you think it does.
Yeah, we were there in the audience one year.
Yes, because I was working that year for the organization.
And we had a friend who gave us tickets.
Yeah.
And the year before...
Well, wait. I will say that I think that year when I was working there, I attended... There are multiple award ceremonies.
Oh, there are technical awards.
Yeah, technical awards, daytime awards.
But this is the big one. The year before, Norm Macdonald hosted.
And we were not there.
We were not there, and he did a great job.
Everybody loved it.
Except some people who worked at the Academy.
They hated it. They hated what Norm Macdonald...
And so almost as a reaction, they got Howie next year.
Yes. Now, this is an interesting perspective. Howie in the 80s, would they have wanted him to host something like this? I think it would have been madness.
Well, it was interesting watching him host in the 2010s because in lieu of that madness, what was there?
All I remember is he got angry that a bit he wanted to do did not pay off.
Okay, yeah. It was so good. He obviously wanted a moment like the Ellen selfie moment.
Yeah.
And I guess it was the anniversary of the awards or something.
Something like that, I don't remember.
So he was like, I got a birthday card here for the Canadian Screen Awards. How about I pass it out to the audience? You can all sign it. So that was the gimmick.
Yeah.
It's pretty weak. But then at the end of the show, he was like,
I didn't even get the birthday card.
He was like,
back.
Where's the card? Who's got the card? The show's over. And he was pissed.
Yeah, he was genuinely angry.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bit that he was doing.
As well he should have been. I mean, the bit fucking sucked. But, and then,
hey, how do we know the bit sucked? We didn't see the payoff to that bit. Maybe we would have been rolling in the aisles.
The other great part.
I remember nothing about that night except for meeting your significant other. We had tons of fun together.
You never met before?
I don't think we had met that day.
Okay.
And also that bit. And the show being long and boring. That's all I remember.
Did you meet his head writer after?
No. Oh, wait, who was his head writer?
Howard Busgang from Terror Train.
Oh, I think he was just floating around or something like that. Does he follow Howie around? Like just Howie's guy?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. But I bet you remember Dave Chappelle was there to present a Lifetime Achievement Award. A Lifetime Achievement Award to the guys who created Just for Laughs. And Howie introduces them. It's like, man, this our next presenter, he's so great. He's such a genius. He reminds me of a young Richard Pryor. And I'm just going like sinking in my seat as he gives this intro.
But Howie, again, we've talked about his film work, not very much there. Now,
Howie, I hope you didn't listen to all this.
I did see there was some dramatic stuff. He starred in some like outgrowth of those like what are those? Not Judgment Day, Left Behind movies.
Oh, some Christian shit.
Some Christian shit. He also he worked with a director who made Shake, Rattle, and Roll, who also made a Kurt Vonnegut adaptation.
Oh.
And Howie is like fourth billed on it.
Is it Cat's Cradle?
It's not Cat's Cradle. It's something else. It stars, is it Sean Astin who stars in it? It looks like a Canadian production. Again, Howie is getting in under the wire. Like, why is there a production that Margaret Kidder and Howie Mandel are in? They're both Canadian. They both count as Canadian content.
And this was probably in Howie's fallow period.
Yes.
I mean, Deal or No Deal brought him back in a big way. And
yeah.
he's never left.
No,
he's always had a show.
And people love Howie. Like, a particular age. No, they have to.
He's one of the most famous guys around.
Yes, like, I think undeniable.
That's why I don't feel bad, like, trashing him for an hour. Because
I wanted to love Howie.
So
I wanted to find that. Will I see Howie and Maui and be like, oh, there you go. That's the magic right there. Where it's pushed further than whatever that other HBO's. He has so many specials. I could not believe how many he had.
I think maybe when he finally gets his Uncut Gems, we're gonna...
Is there an Uncut Gems in Howie? I feel like there's a desperation and a sadness there that no one has tapped into.
If the right director got him.
And I feel that Howie may not want to go there, though. I think that the rest of his career kind of looks like he does not want to put himself in that position. But if he goes there, I'd be there. If you said Howie Mandel was in a dramatic performance of a director that you knew and it was being released by A24, I would go there opening day. Yeah, no contest.
So there's hope for Howie, yeah.
Yes. I am on
Team Howie.
Team Howie. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. So. I'm saying that, especially if he's listening.
He's the second most talented guy in a fine mess, and I think that's great.
And I will never...
Well, actually, probably third or fourth. Paul Sorvino.
Yeah, that's right. The horse.
Well, do we have any letters?
Yeah, we should talk about what's on our Patreon this week.
Oh, so we've been throwing around the word hack a lot lately.
Yeah, to the chagrin of some people.
We've been getting pushback, so we decided to do an episode on hacks and hackery.
Yes. What is hacks?
And we created our list of our top 5 hack directors.
Yes. And so there's a lot of discussion of what is a hack. And we have we kind of figure it out as we go along, but I think we land in a pretty good place.
And we discuss many directors who we consider either hacks or in the vicinity of hackdom.
Let's name some and say, do we come to the decision if they're a hack?
Well, okay.
Ron Howard, is he a hack?
Is Sean Levy a hack?
Yeah.
Is Donald Petrie a hack?
I mean,
well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are some other. Is Kevin Smith a hack?
Is Kevin Smith a hack? You brought that up. We have a good discussion about it, if he is or not.
Yeah.
And I think we come to some pretty definitive answers. Some of them may rackle a little bit of feathers. In that case, you don't need to let us know. All I'll say is, look at their filmography. Yeah. Just look at some of the people we decided that they're hacks. Look at their filmography.
So yeah, that's on Patreon, and I had a lot of fun.
We decide hack, whack, or sad sack. So, what do those two other ones mean? Well, check it out at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. We already made the joke. Yes, we are the sad sacks that are doing an episode on hacks. And hope to see you there. And afterwards, come to the Discord. Do you have any more hacks you'd like to share? I'm sure we missed some. Let us know who are the top hacks. You can send us letters at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. Our first one goes, Dear Justin and Will, I know you have read these words billions of times by now, but I really do love the pod, and thank you for the work you put into it. I once said, all right, I'm not going to read these things, and Will took me aside. He's like, you better read them when we do it.
Oh, shit. Signed Howie Mandel.
Oh, no. I eagerly anticipate every new episode and rush to listen whenever it drops. All pleasantries aside, I thought I would send an email over about my unexpected encounter with Joe D'Amato as a teen.
In person?
Well, not quite, but close. Throughout middle and high school, I was in a choir that performed nationwide. And as we had a lot of downtime in between sets, I got to making a bunch of good friends in that downtime. One of them was from Westchester County, New York, and had the surname D'Amato. Now, this is an interesting point. We'll get into this later on. At some point in high school, I learned about the movie
Anthropophagus.
Anthropophagus. There you go. Got it on the first time. So I had a faint knowledge of Joe D'Amato, but not much. Anywho, me and my choir friends were hanging out one afternoon. I forgot what caused it, but we started to chat about our family histories. This one friend, the one with the surname D'Amato, came up to us and said, paraphrasing here, I easily have the funniest family history out of anyone here. My grandfather was the king of French pornography. LOL. I started to connect the dots in my head, so I asked her, wait, is that Joe D'Amato? And she replied, yeah. Have you heard of him? There's no way. And what would you know? She was the granddaughter of the filmmaker behind Black Emmanuel. I don't recall talking about these histories again after that, but that friend is now a graduate student in Paris. And whenever I hear you two gushing about Joe D'Amato, I just chuckle to myself remembering that fact. Just thought you would find this tidbit interesting.
Now, Joe D'Amato's not his real name.
It's not his real name. Did he legally change his name to Joe D'Amato? Is this story a fiction? I mean, it's so kind of simple. It'd be a weird email to write if it's not true.
I believe it.
Yeah, because maybe he legally changed his name when he came to North America, or
maybe some of his family.
He didn't just use it for pornography.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think we need Joe D'Amato's granddaughter to step forward and tell us your memories. Tell us
Did you meet your grandfather? I mean, here's the thing about like family members when it comes to this stuff. They would have never talked about it. Like, would have never come up.
Well, they should have, because he's a great man. Joe D'Amato, the director, by the way, of such films as
Black Emmanuel. Did he do more than one?
Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade.
Emmanuel and the Cannibals.
Yeah, Emmanuel in America. That's one y'all should see.
That's the one that got him brought to court, I think, for the fake Mondo footage in it.
That's right.
Anyway, Joe D'Amato, we did a whole episode on him, and you know what? We should be doing part 2 at some point.
I agree.
We discovered.
Let's do that, yeah.
The porn films of Joe D'Amato. Now, that's rough going.
A lot of Rocco Siffredi movies to watch. Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but you know what? I'm about to find out. Also, using this space, I have some topics I'd like to suggest. He suggests almost too many to mention here. I love him suggesting Al Jolson. Is there an episode in Al Jolson? Yeah.
I mean, so Al Jolson, we've talked about Hallelujah, I'm a Bum on our episode about
we really like
Harry Langdon.
Al Jolson in that movie.
That's good.
So maybe there's more stuff there.
So no, I've seen Al Jolson movies. I've seen a lot of Al Jolson movies.
How about Eddie Cantor?
Eddie Cantor, there might be something there.
A Germany cycle of westerns centered around the indigenous character Winnetou. I've never watched that many.
You've stumped the buff. I don't know.
Well, I know of them because I've read. It's mentioned in I think a spaghetti western book that I read because they come before spaghetti westerns. And finally, this letter writer would kill for a full episode on the main feed. Can't believe we haven't done this because we folded it into another one about the Bowery Boys.
Yeah, we got to do it.
Whenever you guys cover old-time comedians, it makes me explode with laughter. Keep up the good work, Sammy. Sammy, well, I hope this episode about Howie Mandel, who you could call an old-timey comedian, made you laugh.
And say, do you have Joe D'Amato's daughter's number?
Granddaughter. I mean, she would have nothing to do with... Do you think she goes, like, you know those screenings where they're like, and, you know, his granddaughter is in the audience, and then she stands up and waves? Like,
what a thrill that would be.
Wow, can I have your autograph? And what screening is she seeing? Like, what is the most dire porno holocaust?
Yeah, porno holocaust. Oh, what a picture.
That is not the most dire film that you can see of the Joe D'Amato.
It's dire.
It's pretty dire, yes. Thank you very much for your letters. And again, if you want to send us letters, you can do so at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. What are we doing, Will, next week?
Next week, we needed to veer very far. Yes. So we are talking about the experimental filmmaker Hollis Frampton.
From Howie to Hollis.
That's right.
So I'm not that familiar with him. I know his name.
I've seen a couple, and I'm excited to learn more.
Criterion put out a Blu-ray set of his film. So if you want like an entryway into it before we talk about it, that's the way to go. So until next week, I'm Justin Decloux.
I'm Will Sloan.
Thanks for listening. It's the 24-hour summer movie mind melter time. Yes, that's right. Just like I do every year, I will be hosting online 24 hours of movies. What movies, you may be asking? Well, you're not going to find out until they're playing right in front of your eyes. There are going to be discoveries. There's going to be movies that you can't see anywhere else. There's going to be weird movies. There's going to be movies that are going to just move you, maybe make you laugh, maybe make you angry. Action movies, mysteries, sports. Maybe these types of movies will be playing during the 24-hour summer movie Mind Melter. I cannot guarantee it. All I can say is I try to program 24 hours of movies that are summer vibe feeling, whatever that giant descriptor may mean, and your mind, if you sit through all of it, will guarantee to be melted. If you want more information, some hints, and also the website where it will be taking place. We've done it on Twitch before. I don't know if I'll be doing it on Twitch again. Just follow me on the socials. I'm on Blue Sky under the name Justin Decloux. I'm also on Twitter, Justin Decloux. And on Letterboxd, I'll probably be posting when it starts on the Saturday, which is June 28th at 11 a.m. Mark your calendar, June 28th, 11 a.m. I'll be starting the 24-hour summer movie Mind Melter. Hopefully to see you there. I would also like to thank some new patrons who include Piano, Everett Christian, Just the Letter C, Joni Buck, Maria L., Ryan, Dylan Lamb, Bill Basser, John, Bradley G. Wall, Alexander Odell, Jack Noseworthy, Blake Crean, Jerb, H.P. Buttcraft, Sarah Kilpack, and Nick T. Thank you very much for becoming patrons. We could not keep doing this without you.
You know, on the weekend, I watched Clan of the White Lotus on Mubi, and I'd never seen it before, actually.
Classic.
A Lole directorial debut.
Yep.
And I was watching this movie, which is great. You know, it's fantastic. And I was just thinking Shaw Brothers martial arts films are in that category for me, like Looney Tunes or The Simpsons, where it's like, why don't I just watch this?
Just that and only that.
And
I will tell you, there are some bad ones.
Oh, of course.
But there are also bad Looney Tunes.
Watching Clan of the White Lotus, it's like I can watch the worst Bruceploitation movies. I go deep in the Bruceploitation minds.
You just did go deep into the Bruceploitation minds.
Oh, yeah. I saw Terror Vision put out a Blu-ray of a movie called Enter the Panther.
And you went, oh, Bruce Lee. And I remember you messaging me and you went, Justin, there's almost no logs on Letterboxd. And I went and looked, and the logs that were there was like 1 star, half a star,
okay, listen,
1 star.
I wasn't born yesterday. I know when a movie's going to be bad.
Yes.
But Terror Vision put out this lost Bruce Lee movie.
Was it lost? Like it was considered lost?
There was a pan and scan version on YouTube.
Okay, so basically
almost
nothing.
Nobody had seen it. So they found the one existing print, which is shorn of 15 minutes.
Yes.
So this movie is horrible.
Now, it's tough, right? The curatorial duty as a company is how do you make the package attractive if the movie is not good? This is something me and you have discussed a lot.
Well, yeah, because I think it's good that they preserved.
Yes, I think everything should be preserved. Absolutely.
And especially me, a Bruce Lee super fan.
But I picked it up at Bay Street Video and I went, $43? I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what would have made us absolutely pick it up if both of us had done commentary on it.
If we were in the extras?
Yes. Now, if they had asked us to do a commentary on this and we watched the movie and we were like, PU, we'd be like, no problem. Let's put our names on this.
Well, they should have, because I remember when somebody from TerraVision posted, like, who are experts in Bruce Lee that we should reach out to? Yeah. A dozen people say, oh, Will and Justin.
Thank you very much for doing that, everybody.
Thank you. We didn't ask. That was unprompted.
Yes.
And anyway.
Yeah, we're not on it.
But
there
that's
are
fine.
some special features on it, though. I think there is a commentary.
There's a Frank Jeng commentary, you know. There are liner notes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this Blu-ray, so they've got the 75-minute, like, torn to shreds 35 millimeter print scan.
Yeah.
And then they've also got like a VHS pan and scan version that's 90 minutes. And the sensible thing to do would
you need to edit both of them together.
Create a composite.
That's tough though, right? Is that you don't want, so that's like a space concern too, which is, because I've thought about this as well, of like, do I create a composite or do I have the separate version? Is that like, will people find it distracting if it jumps in between both of them? And that's like the only version on the movie.
So I've seen like on the Severin Bruceploitation box. No, not on that. There's a German Blu-ray of Bruce Lee's Return of the Tiger.
Yes.
And it has like, it goes back and forth between the print
and it doesn't bother you.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I just want to see the whole, I want to understand what's going on.
I think that what would make me hesitate about not having a composite version is the movie is really bad. So if I'm watching it, I want to watch like the best. I'm putting in air quotes because isn't like the final fight like not there?
That's right.
that is unacceptable. Like, I cannot watch. So then I have to watch. So I finished that and I'm like, wait, there's no final fight? And I got to go watch the 90-minute VHS version afterwards?
Yeah.
Now, people who are not Bruce aficionados like me and you may ask, like, but what does make this one bad, Will, versus the other ones?
So it's just really boring.
So no action scenes. Yeah.
Well, there are action scenes, but they're either not good or they're undercranked, which is strange.
Yeah. But is there no, like, texture to the movie?
So it's a really low budget Taiwanese production from early in Bruce Lai's career. Mm-hmm. It's got elements of Fist of Fury in the story. It's like the old.
That means it's boring.
Yeah, the old master was poisoned, and Bruce Lai is the star, but he's not in it enough.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of other characters. There's a lot of plot.
Okay.
I bring this up too because like the fights in this Bruce Lai movie were so like nothing that to watch Clan of the White Lotus after was like, holy shit! Now these guys knew how to do it.
Now I don't want to just drag TerrorVision's effort of bringing Taiwanese films to Blu-ray
because we love TerrorVision.
We love TerrorVision. They have also done some other ones that you watch that you've enjoyed because they did that Drunken.
Yeah, I mean TerrorVision is doing the Lord's work. They put out Papatopoulos, the great Jim Wynorski doc. Yeah. They put out in terms of kung fu stuff. They've been finding and restoring a lot of interesting, completely forgotten and obscure like Hong Kong and Taiwanese movies like Game of Killers and An Old Kung Fu Master.
Yep, Old Kung Fu Master, which is a Drunken Master ripoff with Simon Yun in it.
Which is not great, but if you're like me and you like any movie with Simon Yun, you'll have a good time.
And I will say, An Old Kung Fu Master has I think it's a video essay about the cinematic history of Cecilia Wong, who is one of the actors in An Old Kung Fu Master. And that's what I love. If you can get someone to talk about, this is the thing that like, and I've talked about this before, is that these packages is like, you just need a video talking about who is Bruce Lai, why is this important, even if the movie may not be that hot.
And that guy should be Justin.
Or anyone else.
Or anyone.
Yeah. Because some of them do that. And I think that's important because you're like, oh, okay, I understand where this fits within the context of these movies. I also like it. I believe on Old Kung Fu Master, they do comparisons of like, look how bad this looked. Yeah. And look at all the work that we did. Sometimes they even include the beaten up version as an extra on the disc. And I always love when that happens as well. So I don't want to like, if the movie's not that good, I saw some people on Letterboxd being like, how many thinking buying like these movies blind? Because like when they're this bad.
I mean, I'm going to keep buying them.
Yes. You will keep whatever movie they puts out, you're there with bells on.
Yeah.
And you're not selling it either. You're putting it on that shelf. The idea of selling a Bruce Lai film is foreign to you.
Good God, no.
You would never, ever do it.
Worth its weight in gold. Even Enter the Panther.
Even Enter the Panther. You know what? Now I feel a responsibility to go to the store and buy it as well.